welcome back everyone. So today I'm going to talk about our very first remote project, which is going to be designing our portfolios. So each of you received a portfolio that looks like this, and it has your name on it and your grade level. It does have some things in it, so before you start working, I would recommend just taking them out. This is that awesome paper that I sent to you. Take the things out so you have a nice flat surface, flat open surface to work on. Now, my expectation is that you're gonna work on one side at least, but if you're really ambitious and you wanna do both sides, feel free to do that. So for our first project, we're gonna take this blank white piece of paper and make it look more like an art portfolio. So we're gonna turn it into an artwork. And to begin the year, I always like to give students a chance to really do some, kind of free choice work, to have a little bit more choice, and it's very open-ended so that you can really make it your own. So when I look at your portfolio, I should learn something about you. And I keep it open-ended on purpose. So something that I want you guys to be thinking about as you're working is using things that are also important to artists, like lines, shapes, color. Those are really the three major ones. In fact, really, without lines, you really can't make anything at all. So the minute you start drawing, you're gonna end up with lines on your paper. So already you've got that. And then, adding color is pretty straightforward too. And then when you bring your lines together, they create shapes. So right there, you've got all three of the most important art elements taken care of. So for your portfolio design, you can use any materials you want. Crayons, colored pencils, markers, maybe you even want to use paint. That's entirely up to you. So work with whatever you'd like. I'm going to show you some examples of what I came up with. But again, they're meant just as examples. You don't necessarily need to model yours after mine, but it's meant sort of as inspiration to get you thinking and maybe get you going in a direction. So here's one that I just made, and I really was focused on line. So I created different lines moving in three different directions. So horizontal, going side to side, vertical, going up and down, and then diagonal, so going on an angle. So I worked with wavy lines, both like this and also my big ocean waves. I also worked with dotted lines, and here's one of my favorite lines. This is called a castle line because it looks like the top of a castle. This one is pretty easy to recognize because it looks like a road. And then I worked on a spiral, but instead of making it rounded, I chose to make it squared off. So I was just kind of experimenting with lines, moving in different directions, ending it at either the sides of the paper or at each other. So that's kind of a fun way to play around with some lines. And then my intention for next, I'm going to color in each shape a different color to add a little bit more. And this is all done in crayon. On the other side, I also started, I just created sort of a rounded spiral, but made it into a sun and then added some other shapes, and I do intend on coloring this as well. So again, just one example of a direction that you could take it in. Here is one that was actually created by a teacher who was helping me out in my classroom, Miss Brooks, and she just created this really beautiful flower design on her. So I wanted to show you that it could be, it doesn't have to, just be a design. It could be something representational or that looks like something. So clearly this is a flower. So if you want to draw a picture of a flower or an animal or a car, tree, any of those things would be wonderful for your portfolio design. All right, one more example. Now this one I started out in a similar way to the last one where I actually just made lines first. So you can see this big wavy line kind of cutting my paper in half, and then I have a diagonal line coming down this way, and then I chose to just make a different pattern in each shape. I used crayons, I used colored pencils, I used markers. I also did the other side in this one, did a checkerboard pattern, I did kind of a mermaid tail pattern or fish scales, zigzags, stripes, played around with pattern a lot in this one. So those are just some examples to kind of get you thinking. Make your portfolio look like an art portfolio. So, make it your own. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come up with. This project is super open-ended, so please have fun with it and tell me something about yourself through your portfolio, okay? So when you're finished, please snap a photo of your portfolio so that I can see what you've been up to and send it to me through Unified Classroom or through email or even Seesaw. And I am really looking forward to seeing the finished product. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll get right back to you. And thanks for listening. Bye, guys. Have a great week.